Prison itself, I know, stuck between the bars. Strong hands, stars. But you can never go back. Struggle to survive. You're still alive. If you've been inside, tell your dreams again. Even if you can't forget, take a quick look and settle your regrets. Laying out the bricks now, as if you need a wall. Just like the fall. Circles are not even broken yet. So push yourself through without your regret. Even if you've been misled, tell your dreams again. Even if you can't forget, take a quick look and settle your regrets. If you've been misled, tell your dreams again. Even if you can't forget, take a quick look and settle your regret.
You gotta go up, buddy. Come on. Come here. Oh, yeah. These are the babies. Come here. Oh. Look there, you. Look. You're a good boy. You're a good girl. Who's the good girl? Who's the good boy? Is that enough? Very good.
Okay, let's go out. I just gotta put you out before it starts.
What's up, guys? Good morning, good morning, good morning. So it is the 18th. We are coming down to the last of the Christmas rush. I myself am finishing up quite a few things. What's up, Mike? Yes, we are changing it up a little bit. Son of a bitch. All right. Well, that right there leads us into the elephant in the room. What happened yesterday? So, a lot of people know I have a medical condition. Yesterday, I was not feeling well. Whenever I started the stream, I knew I wasn't feeling well. I did the stream anyways, and right before I cut the stream off, I knew that I was going out. And sure enough, I shut the stream off, and it was about 2 seconds later, I went out, and it wasn't good. I didn't feel right going into it, so I knew it. Still a little out of sorts. I have a hard time putting my thoughts together and staying on track with it. It's just one of those things that, I'm working through it. We're getting it all squared away. It's something with the blood pressure and the vessels going to my head. I have like mini heart attacks through the day. It is what it is. So that's what happened yesterday. That's why the live was cut short. I apologize to you guys. I try my best to give you a full hour and go from there, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. So, Today we're talking about controllers and drivers. Controllers and drivers. Controllers are the whole box assembly that takes the information from the computer and moves it to the machine. The drivers take that computer information from the breakout board and sends it to the motors. Okay, so you can't have a controller without the drivers in a functional machine. So I bring this up because I'm putting together the new CNC for Newbies machine, and I'm experiencing UC CNC for the first time. I've played around with it, but I've never done anything in depth, creating a profile for it or anything like that. It's a lot like Mach 3, but I'm very frustrated because I'm smart enough to figure this out, and I have no idea. I really have no idea what I'm doing wrong. I just got a message from CNC for Noobs that says my emergency stop is pressed or your home switch is activated. So I've got to go back out to the machine and do that. So that should be fun. But a lot of people tend to think that you're an expert in the field, and because you're an expert, you know everything. And that's not the case. There are so many platforms out there. You may be an expert in one platform and not another. On top of that, you may be an expert in drives and not whole control boxes. You might know the drives, but you might not understand the breakout boards or the electricity that flows through at what voltages and stuff like that. So there's a real convoluted system here. Our friend Mike over at Copperhead Metalworks deals with that a lot with his machine. He has a home built machine. And what's up, Jerome? Good morning. Good morning. How are you? Mike, I was just talking about you. So one of the advantages that we have when doing these setups is we can learn and we can teach ourselves, but the problem is we have to figure out the problem by ourselves. The added advantage to a kit is the manufacturer should have already worked that out. So you go to them, you say, hey, this isn't working, yada, yada, yada. And then we're like, okay, what is the problem and how do we figure this out? It was a rough night. Not partying or anything, just in general, chest hurt, stuff like that. But anyways, when you deal with prototype machines that you're building, you have to figure a lot of this stuff out. And there's so many components that your flow diagram is really a huge, it's definitely a huge undertaking. So with this new CNC for Newbies machine, it's got a Gecko 540, and it's got a what else? Gecko 540 and a UC 100 for the controllers. So now I've got to figure out with CNC for Newbies, is it just a micro switch issue? Do I have something wired wrong? Am I not setting up the software correctly? Things like that. Now, the good news is it's something that I did. And the way that I know that is I loaded everything. And whenever I loaded it, the machine moved. So I followed their directions and I got the machine to move. Now, I did not do something. And that's something that happens a lot is people say, well, this machine's a piece of shit because it just does whatever it wants. It's got a mind of its own. Well, it doesn't have a mind of its own. You're doing it. You have to figure out what you did to allow the machine to move the way that it does. Nobody has that ability to tell you what you did wrong other than you. Well, I followed every one of the directions. You didn't follow every one of the directions, or you didn't do it in the proper order. And I think that's what my problem is. I went through, I put the software on, and I just hit okay, and ran through it. I have a feeling that that's what my problem was. I didn't have it connected to the drive control. And whenever you do that, that causes a lot of issues down the road. And I think that's what my problem was. Pebka. Okay, Haas, I'm intrigued. Give me more information. But one of the things, and Mike, your comment was right where I was going with it, was a lot of this stuff can be very frustrating because you don't know what you did. You don't know how to maneuver around it when it's something new. I mean, I'm sitting here writing myself notes and everything. Oh, Haas says problem exists between keyboard and chair. Absolutely. Absolutely. I wish more people took the responsibility to get that machine running the way that the manufacturer intended it to. And the responsibility is yours to make sure that you do it correctly the way that they did. Now, documentation could be an issue. There's nothing you can do about that. Jerome says he got his new boots yesterday. Burnt Workwear, they are amazing. I'll tell you what, Jerome, you hook me up with your two clothing sponsors, and I will definitely try them out. I need new boots. As a matter of fact, these are the boots that I wear. Walmart specials. The shoelaces are actually frayed. The outer coating is ripped. I just I don't worry about stuff like that for some reason. Like, I know my shoelace is going to snap this one morning and just ruin my day, but it is what it is. But you know, there's so much going on with these machines, their software running them, their controllers running them, that so many things have to happen in the right order that all it takes is one thing to be messed up, and it's something that I did. That's the frustrating part, is it's something I'm doing and I don't know what I'm doing or what order I'm doing to make it go haywire. That hurts a lot. You know, it hurts your ego. It's a pride thing. I'm smarter than this. I'm better than this. You know, I'm not quite sure what to say or do, you know, so on and so forth. So it gets real frustrating and difficult at times. But I think my next order of business is to take all the information off of the computer, all the UC CNC, reload it, and do it step by step in order that they recommend, and load my license, load my my controller and stuff like that, and see what we have and how we can best redo it. All in all, that's the only thing left on the machine, is getting the actual controller to run it again. And once I have that, everything else is cake. We're in the home stretch, and that machine is running today. I've got to do my spoil board, and that's it. That's where we're at. That's all there is to it. So, yeah, I can't wait. But that's enough about like taking responsibility for this. You know, there's a lot to be said about YouTube and looking up issues and problems and trying it. Just remember what you tried, save previous copies of the software, and go from there. So yeah, that's basically all I've got, is just keep trying stuff. You know, Mike, he ran into an issue last night. His machine got to running really good, but then afterwards he found that designing stuff is not as easy as it seems. There's a big choice. There's a big choice of fonts and stuff like that that can affect the design. And being a new guy, he doesn't really have the machine settings dialed in. And because of that, that can really affect a lot of things. So Mike says, back up. And Haas says, don't change too many things at one time. Gentlemen, that's absolutely correct. That's a great point. Your backups, you need to have an organized backup. I always have a configuration backup of 0. I label it 0 because no matter what I change, I can reload that configuration. I can delete the software, reload it, and go from there. You know, and Haas is correct. Don't change too many things at once. Try and change one thing at a time. Then if you go through all the one things at a time, try and change the two main things, and just play around with those. When you get into changing, all your drivers and pins, pin ins, pin outs, and everything like that, it just never works. I mean, I try to tell people, take it one thing at a time. If you can establish that it's an electrical issue, then hop on and do the electrical issue, before it's sent to the customer. Up a bit and be good. Nope. LOL. Me and Mike worked on a sign that he quoted out and started to cut and found that there were issues. And we found some simple issues that not a lot of people talk about when it comes to plasma and stuff like that. Actually, that's a good topic. Mike, give me a yes or a no if I can post that file and go through what we talked about, what we changed, and stuff like that. And I'll try and show people what we're talking about. If not, I'll just create a new file. It's one of those things. Okay, Mike says yes. All right. Let's see here. Share screen. Okay. Share. All right. So Mike, let's change branding. Okay. Trying to clean up my desktop here quick. Okay, so this sign looks like a good sign, but there's a lot of aspects about it that are not. The very first thing that I look at whenever I see this, as a newcomer, not a lot of people talk about this, but this line is pretty thin. I think it's a 1/4 inch. That's a 60. I think we said it was a 67-inch wide sign by 34 inches tall. Okay, so this line, a little thin. We can F8. Orthogonal. So it's 3/8 of an inch thick. I'd much rather see that at like a 1/2 inch, but that's just me. Kind of keep the same height as this bar, just something. You could see that this one tapers off over here. So let's zoom in on a couple issues here on this. So a plasma machine has a kerf, and it shoots out a hot flame basically, and that's what cuts the metal. So that piece, depending on what your amperage is and what your nozzle sizes are, changes. It's called your kerf. So a good rule of thumb is to have a 0.15 inch, a little over an 1/8 inch of metal, and you'll be good not to burn through too much, if at all. Okay, so what we do is I hit B, 0.15, enter, and this brings up a brush that's a little bit over an 1/8 inch tall. All right, so if I go along here, you could see part of his problem is he's going to burn away all of his metal. So now we need to thicken these up. So we're going to offset by 70 thousandths. That doesn't look like much, but if we zoom in down here, we do a brush. That's still not good enough. All right. So now we need to keep going through and figuring out what this thickness is and how to offset it. So what I do is I just go in, I follow a design. And one of the issues Mike had was he didn't account for this in the quote. So if you don't account for it in the quote, you're not getting paid to do this artwork. And if you're not getting paid to do the artwork, you're missing out on time to do other aspects. And if you're missing out on other aspects, you're leaving money on the table. Okay. So now I can do an arc strike to node. And I will zoom in on this and clear that. And now I'll do another arc strike to node and to node. And what I'm doing right now is I'm actually cleaning up what I went through and created. That way, geometrically, it's a nice, solid design. I don't want a lot of waviness. If I zoom in, this is real wavy. And I don't want that. I want my customer to be happy with what they get. So I go through and I clean a lot of this stuff up by hand. Now, the downside to that is I bump my prices up. I get paid $60 an hour to do this. If you send me crappy artwork and I've got to do the cleanup to it, you're going to pay me. If you say, hey, create me a piece, I'm going to create you a piece. And whenever I do, I don't want you bitching about the art charge, because now you know what goes into it to make that thing what it should be. We're going to arc strike here and here. I'm going to line that up like that. And the reason I'm doing that is look at this line. That's how off that arc is. So now I can clear that and that. Okay. And we have to go through this whole sign and do this. Now, Mike did not take into account how much work this was going to be. And because of that, he's not going to get paid nearly what he should for this. And that's part of the hidden cost that people don't realize. It's not even that it's hidden. So what I'm doing is I'm actually breaking the design and trying to figure out where the break is at. Okay. And that's actually how I figure out where my issues are at. Now, this one's a little bit more difficult because it arcs and then it takes a heavy turn. So I might re-arc this down to here. Nope. I have to pick up a good arc somewhere along here to get that organized, or I need to zoom in on it and I just need to clean it up. Push that a little. Push that a little. Clean that. Okay. So now I'm just going in and kind of smoothing out my arcs. And making sure that what I have is clean. That way, when the customer gets it, they're not getting all these undulations and everything like that. That's not a nice, good, clean part to me. And if you can't give them a nice, clean part, then don't be in business. So now I'm just cleaning up all this. And the sad part is the customer really is never even going to know or understand what you did. They're just going to be like, oh, that's nice, or that's beautiful. Okay. Still don't like this arc. So we just have to keep going through and cleaning all that up and offsetting and resetting. And it gets to be a royal pain sometimes. Brush 5. Offset 4. Okay. All right. Now that A is just about cleared up. We're good there. I still don't like that loop, but we'll deal with that. Up here, okay, ZN, N, now we're just going through cleaning this, just this line. That's all I'm really worried about. Take that little bit of angularity out of it right there. Okay. This tab's going to burn off. So now I'll just N, X join. Okay. All that was just to do the A. Now, if you look, he's got the F has a lot of lineage. That S right in here is really going to hurt. You know, it's stuff like that. Like you guys, when you're designing these things, this is for a plasma machine. And this is for a plasma machine, so you have to worry about metal being blown out. For a router, you have to worry about quite a few other things in terms of width of cut. Just sent you the picture of the sign after I said fuck it and finished it out. Okay. Not a problem. Let's see here. He says that he sent me a picture. Yeah. It burned a lot of that out. I'll pull up what he ended up cutting. Let's see here. I'm actually pulling up Mike's picture. Okay. Okay, so all right, you got some damn near burnout here. You lost the line here and here for the wraparound. The S has a big deviation right here. You missed this hole. It burned out right here. So that little triangle isn't there. Then this one didn't carry over. This didn't burn through. I'm not sure if you got too, if your torch height control got too far away, or if you had moisture in your line, or if the dross actually welded it back together. But you burn out here. That part coming around the O burnout. That's damn near burnout. That's going to break. Burnout. Burnout. Overshot, too hot, burnout, and that's going to bend up and break. Piss poor curve here. Burnout here, burnout here. Now, this is all stuff that I talked with Mike about last night. So I'm not bashing on him. This is a new machine to him, and we're going to work through his issues and get him squared away. But looks like he may have had a tip up or something right here, and his torch height control lifted up. It may just be something I'm seeing because of reflection. But what I'm looking at whenever I look at that is the rough angularity of the cut. And so those sawtooth looking areas where the torch, whenever the torch comes out, okay. So this is kind of how a plasma torch shoots. It has a bubble right in the middle. And that's typically what you're trying to get to cut the metal. And when your height goes up or down for the torch height control, that can then cause angularity cutting issues, because the outer bubble of the plasma is up higher. So you're going to offcut more that way, but then it may only cut at the tip of the part. Likewise, if you're too far down, you're going to get too thin of a part. So it's always a tightrope. We talked about a lot of this getting burnt out. I told Mike it would take me a good hour to clean this up myself. And I'm pretty good and pretty fast at what I do. Okay, so he actually said the torch came up too high. Exactly. And that's par for the course of being able to read the cut. And I'm lucky that I know how to do a lot of this stuff. And then Robert Johnson that we had on episode 2 or 4, he helped me out a lot learning my Design Edge software and the different things that it can do and what to look for. Look at how thin that was, and it bent and warped. And these are all things that now I look at. So this was cut in 14 gauge, and it still warped up like that because it was so thin. So these are all things that you guys have to worry about when you're designing your own stuff. Like when I design stuff, I design it with what tools I plan on using. And whenever I do that, I know what to size my lines at. And if you know how to do that, you'll be further ahead of the game whenever you actually go to design parts and do parts and stuff like that. A really good example. Let me see if I can bring them up here. Okay. Export as an STL, triangulate, save, EFG. All right, let's load up VCarve. Okay, let's share that screen. So this is my VCarve application. This is my router software. And this is a flag design that I'm doing for my dad. Let's see here. We're going to go to modeling. We're going to open that up. We're going to center the model. We're going to lift it all the way up. We're going to hit OK. So this is a 3D flag. As you can see, it's wavy. And my theory is I've got a lot of work to do to it. But whenever I look at this, the first thing that I notice is I don't like this design. And one of the things I don't like about the design is it's not aesthetically pleasing to the eye because everything is different sizes, different shapes, different locations. What I want to do is I actually want to take this, I'll strike a line over, and I'm going to lift his Machinist Mate second class rank up so that the opening around it will be in line with the seal opening. Then I'm going to take his warfare dolphins and move them over so that the center line of them are in line, center line with the insignia. Okay. And then from there, I actually have, and this is really cool, guys. These are all of my father's ribbons and awards. And this one is the Navy, what do they call that? Sea Service, Navy Good Conduct Medal, National Defense Service Medal, Sea Service Deployment, Navy Marine Corps Achievement Medal. That's what that is. And he got that for he was on a nuclear sub, the SSBN Ben Franklin 640. And there was a fire in the engine compartment, and he actually saved two chiefs. And to me that's awesome. So those are things that we're going to design into this flag. And the way that I'm going to do it is I'm going to figure out how many of those awards and ribbons there are. And in each one of the white spots of the flag, the white bars, I'm actually going to create a pocket, I don't have any of those saved, but I'll create a pocket for it. And whenever I create the pocket, I'll line up the pockets based on the Department of Navy seal. So we'll move this over this way, line it up with the insignia, and then move this over to be in line with we'll move the insignia up to be in line with the bottom of the seal. We'll move the warfare over to be center lined with the rank, and then we'll put the ribbons in pockets in this area. Okay, so I've probably still got, I'd venture to say I probably still have 40 to 50 hours on this flag. And I've went through and 3D'd all of these. So when you go through and 3D them, that takes a lot of time, and people don't realize how much goes into it. But I also know whenever I designed it for the fact of, let's see, I don't know if I'll be able to do this in this software. Oh, it will let me. So this is what the roughing pass will look like. So when I designed this, I knew that I was going to use a 1/4 inch end mill rougher. Okay. Now I'll go through. We're going to roster cut it. We're going to roster cut it at a 45-degree angle. Model boundary. Now it's going to take a while to calculate because that's a lot of code. I guarantee you this will take 10 minutes to render and calculate. So while that's happening, let's see here. Okay. Do you feel that water jet might be the next step for metal art? No. Haas, the reason why I don't feel that it's going to be the next step is the process is too messy, it's very expensive, and it's very slow. I think if at all, it's going to be laser. Just for the simple fact that that's where everything will be at. Laser cost is coming down. You can buy a 4 foot by 4 foot, 2000 watt Chinese nitrogen laser for 60,000. You can buy a 6 by 12 double shuttle 5,000 watt nitrogen for under 300,000. And that sounds like a lot, but whenever you're pumping stuff out, you basically set it and forget it at this point. So I don't see water jet making a big come up in the metal art industry for any time soon at all. Yes, it does. By the way, guys, Kevin is my cousin from down south. So you could see kind of the family resemblance. I mean, I look better, but that's just because I'm me. Let's see what we got here. We're over halfway. So whenever you guys are designing these parts, or you're paying somebody, you have to realize, whenever you come at me with something, I have to have all kinds of information. You're going to be off and on the phone with me forever because I want to know what tools you're using. I want to know, sorry, I'm checking messages, making sure I'm not missing anything. So you have to design your parts, and you have to realize if you're paying somebody to design your parts, you've got to give them the time to actually sit there and design your part for you. I need to know what your finished material is going to be, what your rough material is going to be, what tooling you're going to use, what size. Look at that cleanup pass. Now imagine that being done in like an oak and a black walnut all slabbed together. That's going to be gorgeous. He might not get it. I might have to keep it for myself. That thing is going to be awesome. But you get the gist of where everything's at now. I mean, look at the waves in it. Now, what's really cool is like this will actually be a separate piece that I'm going to do out of a different wood. So I'll actually just create this pocket. And same here, I'm going to actually cut this out in an exploded looking setup and char the outside of it. and then I'm going to cast his rank in aluminum and float it in there. But I mean, that right there is what it's all about. I think that's just awesome. So that's that. I don't have much more to go. Do you guys have any questions on controllers or design? Nothing? Okay. Yeah, Haas, I actually do rest machining. I like rest machining myself. The only problem with rest machining that I see is the fact that you have to take such a long time for it to design it. So what are you doing more of? Are you doing design work time-wise, or are you doing machining? You know, one way or another. Either way, it works out well. Like I said, I use rest machining a lot. And when you're talking about rest machining, guys, what he's talking about is, let's see here. Let's see. Trying to see. So, Mark Lindsay, CNC, has a great video on rest machining. And I tell you guys, you really should take a look at it. What I'll actually do for my stuff is I'll do carves and stuff like that in sections. So I'll carve the wavy flag first, and then I'll go in and I'll actually pocket out the opening for the seal and the insignia and the warfare dolphins, and go from there. You know, that's something. I just think that it looks really good. I think that it operates well. You know, that's just what I think. That's not gospel in any way, but rest machining is something that will cut down a lot on your time. Yeah, Haas, you can, if you're doing large cuts like that, like this flag, it'll probably be 13, 14 hour carve. I'm hoping the CNC Newbies machine will speed that up quite a bit. You know, but that's what it is. That's why we get paid the money, because we know how to do rest machining. We know how to speed everything up. It's nothing more. You're not paying us to make your part. You're paying us for our understanding of how to make your part. You know,
so let me go ahead.
so
It'll be kind of blocky, but I would rather have smooth corners here. For the noise filter, I'm going to bring my noise filter all the way up here where we have these two separate vectors.
you know, these are all things that
0,
Mark is really good.
5.
If you guys get a chance to see any of his videos, please take time to do that. He is a great instructor on YouTube. Kyle Ely is another great instructor. These are all guys that you want to pay attention to and replicate what they're doing, because they're going to make your machine time go down. I like it. I want to see that, Haas. I want to see that. One of my favorite carves. This once it's done is probably going to be my favorite carve. Just for the simple fact that it's my dad's. I'd like to be able to do one for my dad, my uncle, and my two grandfathers for their service. It's just one of those things. I'm really proud of what they accomplished. My father, he went through, he had his hand crushed in an airlock. My uncle did 28 years in the Navy. He was Command Master Chief of Kings Bay. My grandfather did his tour of service. My other grandfather did his tour of service. Now they're old men passing along their knowledge and information, and I just wish I was smart enough when I was younger to listen to them and not have the gray hair or the loss of hair that I have now because of it. So yeah. All right, guys, I'm feeling pretty wore out. I'm going to hop off here and I will talk with you later. See ya.